Hey GearFacts friends, I know that the Casio XW-PD1 is old news and everybody knows now that it makes great sounds, the sequences sound wonderful, but it's virtually impossible to use. And this grieves me deeply because it's such a nice, neat, attractive design, and it would be nice if Casio ever re-released something similar with an improved operating system. But anyway, as a way to say goodbye to this very interesting unit, I'm just going to show how to sequence 4 tracks. The more advanced features, I never really bothered trying to get into operating them directly from the unit, although it can operate everything. You don't need a computer to make this do the most elaborate sequences that you can think of. The entire menu system is built into this ring and into these numeric keys right here, but it's just, well, don't get me started. Anyway, first of all we need to choose an empty sequence. So we go to the sequence button here. You have to hold it down and use the value button to go right up to, say, 149. 149 being the last of the empty banks that you can sequence yourself. If you go to bank here, you'll notice that the 4 buttons light up here, and there are 4 different sounds. There's the drum kit. Track 1 is a nice lead sound. 3, same again. 4 is a pad sound. Since we've got a double up in the lead sound, I'm going to go back to 3 and go to pad set, and you'll see that the name of the sound scrolls across the screen, synth lead. So I can use value to change that to a whole bunch of different sounds. Just to add to the user unfriendliness, the value key is very strange too. It operates faster the more you turn it. So you go to the center and it doesn't go left or right, but the more you turn left or right, the faster those numbers move. So I've changed sounds now. And we can keep trying out different things. So we'll leave that as is. Now we want to sequence our pattern. So let's go to step, which is step sequencing. And we're still on that sound that we had a moment ago. And what we have is 16 keys in a ring, and where we press them will determine where that sound plays. You can also hold a button down and touch one next to it, and it'll give a continuous note for that whole duration. So let's see how that sounds by pressing play. And we can edit that on the fly too, so I can delete number 7 right there, and I'll move the whole thing back one little step. That's kind of what I was looking for. So that part of it's quite easy. If I press a different note, then the lights all disappear, and that means I'm just programming the sequence, I suppose, for that particular note. So let's add a few of those in. It actually doesn't sound too bad. So I could go through all 16 of these notes here and program in a little sequence for each one, and the lights will show up accordingly. So note number 7 has this sequence going around clockwise, and note number 1 had some notes as well. 2, 3 and 4 have nothing. Anyway, let's go over to bank now and choose the drums, which I think was 2, wasn't it? Yeah, back to step sequencing. And the logical thing to do would be to choose our bass drum and put it at regular intervals. Okay, let's see where that snare drum was. Sometimes there are choices of several snare drums, depending which kit you choose. So there's our snare, and we'll put that on the 2 and the 4, as you'd find in most songs. I'm going to try an experiment now. I'm pretty sure that I can change that sound, but whenever we get into anything beyond the basic sequencing, I start to struggle. But let's give it a go. Pad set down here, and we'll change hopefully to a different sound. Okay, so we've changed our drum kit there. What I really wanted to do was change the original sound, that synth lead sound, and so you can see how the workflow is really not logical here, but we are making progress. So Pad set again, and the name of that sound is brightness. Okay, I'm obviously on the wrong track again. That's the one we want, so this sound is called pulse something. Okay, so holding down pad set will give you that reading on what your sound is. Hold it down and turn the dial, and you should be able to choose different sounds. But it's certainly not instant feedback. You have a very hard time finding exactly where you are. So a different sound now. Bear in mind, if this is sounding a bit tinny, we're listening to it through the internal speaker. So to be fair, one factor in the XW-PD1's favour is that the sounds are really quite nice and big, just not on this particular video. Anyway, that sound wasn't very good, so let's choose something else. It's just numeric until you release your finger and press again, and then it will give you the name of the sound that you've selected. Yeah, a little bit too heavy. I'm going to try one more. Oh, no. No, I'm going to try two more. I don't want to stick with that. Let's try this one. Maybe it would be a good idea to go back to that drum kit and change it. Oh, well, anyway, we've sequenced tracks 2 and 3. 4 is our pad sound. And track 1 is another lead sound. So let's try some improvisation. And we've run out of batteries. Well, that might explain why the sound was a little bit rough. But anyway, guys, I've given you a demo on how to sequence tracks. You can have 4 tracks going. Just remember that you've got to go into bank, choose one of your 4 tracks, then go into step and sequence it as per the way I just showed you. And to make up for the mediocre nature of this video, I'll now play you some music that you could potentially come up with the Casio XW-PD1. Let's hope for a re-release from Casio.